And let me add my welcome to David from the beginning. My name is Pete, and I'm the senior pastor here. Great to hear you having those conversations. I do hope you can stick around at the end of the service. There'll be coffee downstairs, and that'll be a great opportunity to continue those conversations and continue to get to know one another and make new friends. Now, I'm joined on stage now by my friend Ed Sirya. Ed is the COO of Restore NYC. Restore works to make freedom a reality for survivors of trafficking. And we thought, since we're exploring this issue this morning together of how do we make the world a better place, that it would be good to talk to someone who's actively involved in that in terms of their calling and their day job, and talk particularly about the work of Restore and how Ed got involved in that as well. So, Ed, tell us a little bit more about what Restore do. We know they work with anti-trafficking, but how do you work? How does the not-for-profit function?
Thank you. Like most people, I didn't know a lot about human trafficking. It was something that I was just unaware of, especially in a place like New York City. But I've come to learn that it's one of the biggest industries in the world. It's a $150 billion industry with a B.
Wow.
And it's a problem that is very pervasive, and it's hidden in plain sight. It's everywhere. And I have the opportunity and the privilege to be spending my time and helping those who are in these situations. So the mission of Restore NYC is making freedom a reality for people who are trafficked in New York City. And we do that by 3 core services that we learned that survivors have told us that this is what makes freedom a reality. Mm-hmm. And that's client services, that's providing trauma counseling, that's helping survivors get connected to the resources that they need. It's through housing. One of the core reasons that people can't leave trafficking is housing in New York is impossible. It's so difficult.
Right.
So trafficking, often the traffickers keep the survivors in their situations because they don't have any options. And so we provide everything from a transitional home that we run ourselves to affordable housing options.
Yeah.
And then there's economic empowerment. It's helping survivors to be placed in jobs, to have job training, to learn about entrepreneurship options, to have a network of people to help them. And it's through those ways that we're able to enter into the lives of those who have been trafficked and just see incredible, tremendous change happen in their lives.
Amazing. It sounds, talking to you, it sounds very holistic, focusing not only on mental well-being, but also some of the structural factors around it, and also sounds as though it's quite long-term oriented as well, as really getting a ramp to people getting out of it, but also long-term sustainability. Is that fair?
That's correct, yeah. It's really about seeing the person holistically, every aspect of the person. But one of the most amazing things is that what we see is that humans are extremely resilient. Everyone has tremendous strength. And as we're able to come around people, we just see their natural strengths come. And it's true of just about everyone.
Wow.
But there's a lot of natural strength. So just we leverage what's already in a person, which is their ability to overcome.
Thanks for sharing that. Now, do you mind me touching a little bit on how you personally got involved in this? Because you mentioned at the top when you were doing some of the remarks that this was something that you kind of came to be more aware of. Obviously, we're aware of it, big picture, but what specifically got you involved in this area and working with Restore?
Yeah, there's so many points of connection, but I would just start from the fact that I didn't grow up in a religious home. I didn't believe in God, and part of that led me to asking these big existential questions about meaning and purpose in life. And it wasn't really until about college that I began to read Jesus' words, and then something's really stuck out to me, especially when it came to sections like the Beatitudes. And it talks about the values of this world that seem so counterintuitive, so opposite of the world, which is happy are those who are poor in spirit, happy are those who mourn, happy are those who are persecuted and who are suffering. And as I began to investigate Jesus' words more, how can he make these statements? It was really about this world that was just what seemed to me upside down.
Right.
But it was really right side up. It's really the way the world should be, which is that when I look at Jesus' work, it's really about healing, restoration, and the renewal of all things. And blessed are those people who depend on God and are part of that, right? And so it really was very compelling to me, and it gave me this sense of meaning and purpose in life, which I didn't have before.
Okay.
And I grew up kind of with a view of the world that this is all that there is, just a materialistic worldview. And there just wasn't much real hope in that kind of view of the world. As I began to read Jesus' words, it really compelled me that really, when I look at the biggest problems of the world, especially suffering, it really is what God cares about, and there's hope for that. And it really drew me into work like this. And then as a pastor, I get to talk about this now, as a Christian, as a pastor, so much. But then working Restore, I get to actually be a part of that work firsthand, which is really exciting to me.
And if I'm right in thinking that because Restore is also a kind of ground-up Christian organization, so in terms of trying to implement those values, how does that not only impact you and your work, but how does it impact the wider organization and how you approach this stubborn problem of trafficking?
Right. That's a great question. I think that if I were to approach the problem of trafficking, again, which is a $150 billion industry, I think it just seems overwhelming. It just seems like a drop in the bucket. Anything we do just seems like there's just not enough resources, just not enough energy and ability to really change things. It seems like on the surface. But I think through my lens of my Christian faith, I see that the work of healing, of restoration, of renewal, ultimately as God's work. And it's something that I believe that Jesus teaches that he will ultimately accomplish. It's work that he's doing. And so I guess it's with that perspective that I go into the work just confident, just believing that it's not ultimately my responsibility to solve all the problems, but God's ultimately going to do that. So I'm just participating in the work that God will ultimately accomplish fully. And I think that gives me hope and strength. And the more I read the Bible, the more I see that this is God's heart. It's to care for those who are hurting. It's to see, I think of a passage like Psalm 56, that you have kept all my tears in the bottle. I think of all the people who are suffering, who are weeping. Does God care for me? And I think the scriptures give a resounding answer of yes, he does. He's doing things to make the world new.
Ed, thank you. That little phrase, I'm just participating in the work that God himself is doing, is quite significant. Look, thank you so much for coming up and for allowing yourself to be interviewed and sharing a bit about the work that Restore NYC do. You'll be around in the coffee hour afterwards if people want to find out more about that, but obviously you can look it up on your website. Can we please give Ed a round of applause? Thank you.
Thank you.